This is 10 Eyewitness News with Sandra Sully.
Good evening, I'm Sandra Sully.
It's Breaking the News with Jay Lafferty.
And this is Breaking the News, the show that breaks the week's news and asks four opinionated panellists to put it back together again. With me are four brilliant panellists. On my right, we have Mark Jennings and Laura Davis, and facing them are Susan Riddle and Dawn Biswas. In the news this week. Obviously, there was one major news story that dominated the headlines this weekend, and while tensions are high and it's an extremely sensitive subject, we've agreed with the BBC's legal team that it is okay for us to make jokes about England losing. An optimistic football fan had the words England Euro winners 2024 tattooed on his thigh before the Euros final had even started. He says he has no regrets as it distracts from his other leg, which reads, "Congratulations on the landslide, Rishi." And Dr. Ruth Westheimer, who was one of the most famous sex therapists in the United States, has died at the age of 96. Family have said the funeral will be a solemn affair, but in accordance with Dr. Ruth's wishes, it will finish with a happy ending. Right, let's crack on with round one. This is the Broken News round, where our teams have to guess two major stories of the week that have been mashed together into one single news headline. Mark and Laura, can you tell me what this is all about?
The King has
received rapturous applause as he walked on stage
at the state opening of Parliament
with a bandage on his right ear.
The King confirmed Labour's plans to
bring Americans together.
Right, Mark, what do you think that was all about?
I believe this is a story about Donald Trump and the Republican National Convention that's taking place in America this week.
Yes, euphoric Republicans officially endorsed Donald Trump as their party's candidate for the White House at their convention. This is days after the assassination attempt. Sporting a prominent bandage on his right ear, Donald Trump sat beside his designated Vice President, J.D. Vance. A lawyer, an author, a former US Marine, J.D. Vance has spent decades trying to outperform the success of his cousin, J.D. Sports. So, Mark, what effect do you think this will have on the campaigns?
Well, Trump's seen a surge in the polls since he survived the assassination attempt, and it's a bit worrying because it's looking as though he might actually win the election. But if there's anyone that can lose the goodwill that you would gain from surviving an assassination attempt, it's Donald Trump. I think he's actually trying to extend a hand across the water to Britain as well by wearing what looked like a tea bag on his ear.
It definitely was, and there was other people as well, didn't they? Had the tea bag ears on.
I'm just surprised they don't have flags on them, to be honest. It seems like it's real estate gone big and someone's going to put a billboard on it.
Laura, what effect do you think it will have in the campaign?
It might help it. People like an image. They like to see it all sort of crystallise together. Look, it worked for Van Gogh. And his paintings are all blurry, like, you know.
Susan, what do you think? Do you think it's going to have any effect on the campaigns going forward?
I think he's probably going to get in, which is a worry. And it's funny when you look back to his first presidency, and you're like, remember back in the day when he said he was going to build a wall and he was going to make Mexicans pay for it and build it, and you're just like, oh, shut up, Donald Trump. No, well, he's really smart though, because what he's done is he's made America so mental that the Mexicans are like, do you know what, let's get a wall up, actually.
Mark, what do you make of his pick for vice president? What do you think of J.D. Vance?
The weirdest part about this for me, right, this is a weird reference, but when I used to go to nightclubs and stuff when I was 18, 19, the most popular guy was a DJ called DJ Vance. And when I first seen this story, there was a part of me that thought, hold on a wee minute. Is the same guy that I used to shout one more tune at now going to be getting shouted at by other people 4 more years?
The VP is the biggest understudy role in the world, and if you had to step in for anybody, who would you step in for and why?
I would step in for Donald Trump. I think I'm like, I just can't possibly make things worse.
Don, what about you? Who would you understudy for?
I wouldn't understudy for anyone because you've had Rishi Sunak, Suella Braverman and Priti Patel. You've had enough of British Indians being in power, so... so I'm going to duck out of that one, so...
If you had to understudy any role in the world, who would you step in for and why?
I'm very envious of the other professors of political science at the University of Strathclyde because they must all be looking at Sir John Curtis going, as soon as he calls it a day, we are getting all the work. Obviously the other one that I have often, done in the mirror is, like, hi, I'm Mark Jennings and welcome to Breaking the News. The show that breaks the week's news and asks 4 opinionated panellists to put it back together again.
What do you know? Somebody, a straight white man, try to steal my job. Mark and Laura, you get 2 points for that. It was Donald Trump at the Republican National Convention. Susan and Dawn, what was the other story we were after?
That was about King Charles delivering the King's speech.
You're completely right. That is correct. The King delivered his speech at the state opening of Parliament this week, outlining the government's plans for the months ahead. The new Labour government unveiled more than 35 bills during the King's speech, sadly proving that politics is still dominated by men. What stood out for you in the King's speech, Susan?
I think what stood out for me most was the smoking ban. For people that have been born after 2009, they're not going to be able to buy fags and smoke because they'll still be allowed to vape, right? But I think before you're allowed to vape, you should have to smoke. Do you know what I mean? You've got to put the legwork in because it's easy to vape, it's harder to smoke. None of these wains are going to know the perils of lighting a fag off a toaster with a heavily hairsprayed fringe, and I don't think that's right.
Don, what did you think of the King's speech? What stood out?
I thought that one of the things was talking about stop the boats, which is relentlessly negative. All the political parties talked about that. And speaking of immigration, I nearly didn't make it to this gig because 2 trains were cancelled from London. Therefore, if the government wants to stop the boats, you should get the rail companies to operate them.
Laura, anything that stood out for you in the King's speech?
I think it's Keir Starmer's slogan of taking the brakes off Britain. Really, look, a metaphor is a powerful thing, okay? You've got to be really careful with it because it is all well and good to take the brakes off, but if you don't have a direction plan, where are you going?
He's taken the brakes off and he's also stopped the ability to turn to the left whatsoever.
The indicator's been on for a while.
I feel like it should be put the stabilisers on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to be too optimistic about Labour's plans because, this Labour government's a bit like seeing a present under the Christmas tree but knowing that it's Lynx Africa.
Susan, what do you think? If you were going to do the King's speech, which of course would be the Queen's speech, if you were doing it, Susan, what would you add in? What would you keep?
A few jokes. It was pretty boring, wasn't it? And Charles, he might have dressed up a wee bit. It could solve the whole poverty problem by just taking his crown down to Ramsden's and...
I love that idea, just them going in much more I get for this. Mark, what would you have included in the King's speech?
I'd have put a bit in about abolishing the monarchy just to see if he's paying attention. Because the thing about the King's Speech is it's written by the government and it's just performed by the King. So I'd have just tried to put in some stuff to you know, that would be a challenge for him. It's like, you know, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck?
I was going to say all of the lyrics to like Meatloaf's I Would Do Anything for Love. Just like...
Well done, Susan and Dawn. You get 2 points for that. It was the mashup of Donald Trump becoming the Republican nominee for president and the state opening of Parliament. And at the end of that round, the teams are all square. Much of our news is about public opinion, so to find out what stories people are talking about, we spoke to two friends of the show, journalist and broadcaster Anne McAlpine and broadcasting legend Brian Burnett. Susan and Dawn, what do you think Anne is on about here?
The idea behind it is probably to try and help people be a bit happier, less miserable perhaps, and to help with general overall health. But it's certainly a bizarre one, and I'm not too sure how you would police it or enforce it.
I think in Japan they want you to laugh more because it helps reduce stress and stuff like that.
Correct. Politicians in Japan have introduced a rule calling on citizens to laugh at least once a day, as evidence has shown it's good for your health. One region has designated August 8th as a day of laughter on the basis that the date 8/8 can be pronounced in Japanese as ha-ha, whereas Scotland's designated day of laughter was last Sunday's Euros final.
Shut up! It's not funny.
Don, what do you think of this Japanese laughter law? Do you agree with it?
Yeah, I think they should have the same law here so people can laugh at my jokes.
Just wonder how they're going to enforce it as well. Like, what happens if you don't laugh? Like, do you get a ticket? Or, do you know what I mean? Like, are we all spying each other, like, grassing on each other? Do you get jailed? Like, is the police going to boot with a big, like, giant feather tickling you? I don't know.
Do you agree, Laura? What do you think? Should we have enforced laughter as law?
I think I would like it if it was introduced in the UK, because then I wouldn't have depression. I would just be a political activist. I think it sounds a lot cooler, I think.
Don, what do you think? Does it count if laughter is forced?
Forced laughter is all I have, so yes, definitely. Without that, I'm nothing, so...
Mark, what do you think? Forced laughter?
Well, they said in defence of this not happening, they said the dignity of the mirthless must be preserved. And who are... is they getting a group of people together going, no, we are miserable. And we want to keep that way, you know. I'd rather die miserable than stay alive and be forced to laugh in.
And one area of Japan has designated August 8th as a day of laughter. What would you make a day for and why?
ADHD, because I have it. But having said that, we only need a minute.
Laura, do you have a day that you would make for anything?
I think like a good area petty grievances day, like everyone takes the full day off and you just go through the list of all the petty grievances, you air them, you know, everyone takes lists of the ones that are coming in for them, sort of like Valentine's Day, but the opposite. And then everyone gets it out of their system and then we move on for the rest of the year.
We'd have that in our family. It's called Christmas dinner.
Yeah. I just want to make it official.
Laughter by law is the right answer. Well done, Susan and Dawn. Mark and Laura, it's your turn now. What do you think Brian is talking about here?
They reckon it would be an ideal place for travellers to build a permanent base there. And although we'd all have a list of people that we'd love to potentially send there, it looks like it might be 20 or 30 years before that's a reality.
Laura, what is our Brian on about there?
This the cave on the moon.
I think you're right. I think it might be. Scientists have for the first time discovered a cave on the moon. It's at least 100 metres deep. They say it could be an ideal place for humans to build a permanent base. And scientists were initially confused as to why there was a huge hole in the moon, but it made a lot more sense when they found out that that area is actually maintained by Glasgow City Council.
they've said obviously it's going to take about 20 or 30 years before we're able to go there. And to be honest, that's probably going to be the same length of time until I can afford a deposit for a house anyway. So I might as well wait. I like, the property prices are so high now. This might be my best bet of buying somewhere anyway. I can imagine the listing. It's like stunning lunar pit, within commuting distance of planet Earth. And
watch out for the moon burn.
The commuter planet is a terrifying image. Because that is exactly what they want. Is they want like the cosmic equivalent of like Slough.
Dawn, how about you? How are you feeling about these caves being discovered on the moon? Are you excited about it? Are you rushing to get out there?
I'm really excited because finally I can move out of my overbearing Indian mother's house into a cave.
Susan, would you swap your gaff in Glasgow? Are you excited for this discovery?
I'm excited more for the TV shows that are going to come out of it, because a place in the moon, that would be some watch, wouldn't it? Just like Jeannie Johansson just cutting about in a spacesuit, just taking two frauds up there, just like have no intentions of buying anything.
apparently to get to these caves, you need to abseil in and use a jetpack to get out. And I feel bad enough asking the delivery driver to climb 3 flights of stairs.
Is space exploration just a playground for the rich?
Aye, which is why I think it might be a solution to the House of Lords. Do you know what I mean? Just blast them all to the moon.
Some of them are tuned to the moon already, Susan, let's be honest about it. Dawn, what do you think? Is it just for the rich?
No, I think it's for everyone, and that's why I've got family here in India who are worried that their jobs will be outsourced to the moon, so... But the weird thing is, a lot of people are saying that they wouldn't give foreign aid to countries like India or Pakistan because they've got space travel, but there's 2 different types of class of people. No one in India is going, little Anil has to walk 3 miles a day to collect water and go for astronaut training. It's...
Scientists have, for the first time, discovered a cave on the moon which could provide a permanent lunar base. The cave is so deep that astronauts might need to abseil in and jetpack out, in news that has concerned NASA and thrilled Ed Davey. A cave on the moon is the right answer, and 2 points go to Mark and Laura. You're listening to Breaking the News from BBC Radio Scotland with me, Jay Lafferty. This round is all about who is in the news. I'll play you a clip of a mystery person, and all you have to do is tell me who it is. Mark and Laura, you're first this time, so who is this?
Couldn't remember exactly where it was, but I was on my way there. Encountering what I encountered on the way was how I envisioned it all. I didn't really have any ambition at all.
I believe that's Bob Dylan, who has got some concerts coming up later in the year in Edinburgh.
Absolutely right. That is Bob Dylan, who has announced he will play 2 shows in Edinburgh as part of his European tour, where mobile phones are banned. So people will be asked to put their phones in a pouch, which closes automatically in the venue. Bob Dylan is a voice of a generation that's now saying, ooh, you young people, always on your phones.
This is something that happens a lot when comedians do big arenas. They'll lock up people's phones, and the reason for that normally is because they don't want the jokes to get recorded and get out there, because once you've heard the joke once, it's a bit less funny or whatever, right? But for a music show, I can only imagine the reason that he's locking up people's phones is Bob Dylan doesn't want people to know how bad he is now.
You don't want the times that they are a-changing getting leaked. I'm not sure what his demographic is. Like if it's a Nokia sort of brick thing that they're taking along, it's probably fine.
I was at Christmas dinner. My Auntie Margaret was asking me to download WhatsApp onto my Uncle Stan's phone. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, I can't do that, Auntie Margaret. It's no a smartphone. And she went, what are you talking about? It's smart enough. What do you think, Susan? Is Bob Dylan right to lock away the phones?
I think it's quite a good idea. I'd quite like one for myself so that when I'm out drinking, I don't text my ex. That would be...
Bob Dylan is actually my favourite music artist of all time. This is actually true. Unfortunately, the other day I saw someone do an absolute horrendous rendition of a Bob Dylan song, and it turns out it was Bob Dylan.
Oh, Now, we've been talking about Bob, and he's still working into his 80s. What would you like to be doing at his age? Mark, what would you be doing if you make it to 80?
Well, for my area of Glasgow, if I'm alive, that is an achievement. I'll take it. But, you know, I reckon Bob Dylan, he's probably got another presidential run in him. Yeah.
Bob Dylan fans buying tickets for the Usher Hall gig for £104 can also take along their grandchild for free to help show them how to switch their phones off. Yes, 2 points go to Mark and Laura. That was Bob Dylan. OK, Susan and Dawn, now it is your turn. Who is this and why are they in the news?
It's amazing, you know, it was a dream for us. We worked a lot and very hard.
French politician swimming about in the river saying to make sure there's no germs in there.
It is the Mayor of Paris, and her name is Anne Hidalgo. She swam in the Seine this week to demonstrate that the river is now clean enough for outdoor Olympic swimming events. Rumour has it that John Swinney is planning to follow suit and swim to Orkney to show you don't actually need ferries.
I mean, they did get it cleaned on time, which a lot of people said they weren't going to, and fair play to them. It didn't take them very long, because I remember, like, my local swimming pool shut down for, like, 3 days because somebody done a jobby on the flume, so...
And she was obviously doing all this because the Olympics are coming up, they're in Paris. Dawn, are you looking forward to the Olympics?
The Olympics doesn't represent me, neither does the Paralympics, which is for disabled people, because I've got... Give us a cheer if you heard of a condition called dyspraxia. Yeah. 2 people, cheers. It's like in between dyspraxia. It affects my coordination and organisation. And I'm thinking, why can't they have the dyspraxic Olympics to represent me? And it got me thinking, how rubbish would that be? Because most people with this condition have a habit of turning up late for events because of organisation. So much so, even Channel 4+1 would struggle to show live coverage.
Mark, what about you? You're into your sport. Are you looking forward to the Olympics?
Well, all this talk about there still being some faeces in the river is because it's being used in the triathlon, which consists of like running, cycling and swimming. And I just think it's exciting that this year, the swimming part, there'll also be an element of an obstacle course as well.
I think that they should have left the poo in the river just to make the British contestants feel at home, so...
Anne got in there. She wanted to prove the point that the Seine was clean. What is the furthest that you have ever gone to prove a point?
Oh, I'm really petty, so I'm like... I used to do this thing, me and my ex-boyfriend, we would argue with each other, right, but we'd be drunk. So, like, I would like take notes in my phone to remember what had been said, right? So the next day I could go, well, you said this and then that happened, then you said that. But every time I would look at the notes, I'd just be like, oh my God, that was all my fault.
Laura, what have you done to prove your point in the past? How far have you gone?
Look, I hope that he got the message on it. I had one man who wouldn't stop calling me, sort of harassing me, and wouldn't stop. And so I took his phone number and I signed him up for many call and quotes on like funeral insurance. So sort of every day I sort of kept it in the diary. The first 15 minutes of every day I would spend just registering him for calls throughout the day, and just let other people call them back. And you know, I feel like he stopped calling, I think because his phone was busy, to be fair.
Mark, what about you? What is the furthest you've ever gone to prove your point?
Well, my dad's losing his hearing and he's in denial about it. So, like, he's got hearing aids, he just refuses to wear them. So, like, whenever I have a conversation with him now, and he constantly repeat myself, and then he'll see me getting aggravated. He's like, Mark, why are you getting annoyed? You're mumbling. And see, not wearing your hearing aids and accusing someone else of mumbling, I'd be like not wearing your glasses and accusing someone else of being blurry, right? But...
Mark...
So what I've tried to do to teach my dad a lesson is that I now cut about the house with my earphones in, constantly listening to music. And whenever he tries to talk to me, I say to him, I can't hear you. He's like, well, take your earphones out. It says, I'm making the same choice to not hear you. That you're choosing to not hear me. So maybe we can come to some kind of agreement.
Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo this week took a dip in the River Seine in a bid to show it's clean enough for swimming events in the Olympics. This includes the triathlon, which will consist of running, cycling and a third event. Anne Hidalgo is the right answer. 2 points go to Susan and Dawn. Time now for our final quickfire round, which is all about deciphering the numbers in the news. I'll read out a headline and all the teams have to do is fill in the blanks. So get ready, teams, on your buzzers. When we run out of time, you'll hear this.
Are you still sick?
That's John Beattie there speaking to the Mayor of Paris. Okay, let's go. So, on average, Brits can do what in 3 languages? Susan.
Explain why they can't speak the language.
No pavor. On average, Brits can do what in 3 languages? Mark.
Point to a picture of a fry-up.
On average, Brits can do what in 3 languages?
Is it swear?
It's not swear, although we'll get a good bash.
yeah.
It is not swearing. It's not. Dawn.
Order a pint?
Yes! Dawn is correct. On average, Brits can order a beer in 3 different languages.
Are you still sick?
That's the klaxon. John has beated. It's all over. And at the end of the quiz, our winners this week are Mark Jennings and Laura Davis. Commiserations to Susan Riddle and Dawn Bidwas. And we'll leave you with breaking the news. Breaking news, Justin. Archaeologists in Bulgaria have unearthed a marble statue that may depict the Greek messenger god Hermes, or as we call him now, Evry. Craig David has said that the bagpipes could feature in his next hit song. He's planning to buy them on Monday, start lessons on Tuesday, belt out some bangers on Wednesday. And finally, Vaughan Gething has quit as the leader of the Welsh Labour Party and as a result will also be stepping down as Welsh First Minister after just 4 months in the job. Mr Gething leaves with the best wishes of his colleagues and the Liz Truss Long Service Award. The news is broken. I've been Jay Lafferty. Goodbye!